Voters are shifting rapidly in California, opening the possibility that Republicans could actually capture a few of the statewide offices in 2026, perhaps even governor. But they have a big problem. Coming up, I'll tell you what that problem is and how Reform California is trying to fix it, but we're going to need your help. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state representative representing District 75 in the California State Assembly. You know, I am actually pretty optimistic about California. I know it's hard to be a conservative and be optimistic in California, but here's why. California Democrats have done such an abysmally awful job running this state. By every metric, the highest cost of living, a crime wave, failing schools, jobs that have been destroyed, people are fleeing the state in record numbers, an open border, all this stuff. They've done such an abysmally bad job that many voters are actually starting to wake up. And we saw that in 2024. The little green sprouts of change happening around the state of California. We picked up in the state legislature the most seats in a presidential cycle since 1984, when Reagan had a massive landslide. And he carried the state of California. Yep, it actually is possible. Happened a long time ago, but it can be done. We have seen Latino voters come to the Republican side in record numbers. And all this is happening, these voters are waking up despite the fact that the liberal media is lying. So it's not like the voters are getting hammered with news media and TV ads and political ads to kind of educate them. They're naturally waking up and making their own conclusion that, boy, this state is wretchedly run and on the wrong track. Because they're experiencing the decay. They're experiencing the bad situation themselves. It's hard for a liberal news outlet. I'm looking at you, NBC San Diego, NBC writ large. I'm looking at you, LA Slimes. All these media outlets in California lying on a daily basis, trying to cover up for the Democrats and saying what a great environment it is. It's hard for that to work when someone's suffering. They're struggling. They can't afford their bills. The other thing that we're seeing is that it's not like the California Republican Party is organized. And in fact, one of the biggest things I'm frustrated by is that they're not putting up a fight. They're not even organized. They don't even give a damn. They don't recruit candidates in seats. They forfeit a bunch of seats. And so at Reform California, we've taken it on ourselves as a movement to recruit, train, file, endorse, and support candidates for every single office, from school board positions all the way up to the U.S. House of Representatives, statewide positions like governor. We're going to talk about those statewide positions in a moment because we're having a major mission critical problem. But we are recruiting candidates up and down the state of California for all sorts of seats. I want to talk about the statewide seats because at last count, we don't have any candidates in some cases, and we don't have good candidates in most cases for the statewide offices. And my concern is if we don't get people to step forward and say, okay, I'll put my name on the ballot to run for lieutenant governor or secretary of state or attorney general, that we're going to have a major problem. Democrats will lock us out. They'll get the top two. Remember, we have this terrible system of the top two vote getters in California. Top two vote getters of any party get to advance to the runoff. And so, bottom line, we need to recruit candidates for the statewide offices. We also need candidates for Congress and state assembly and state senate. We're working on those. And I think we're going to be able to find good candidates in each of those areas. But it's kind of hard to say, hey, would you like to run for governor or lieutenant governor or attorney general? Very hard to make that pitch to someone, particularly at the last minute. It's easier to say, hey, can we put your name on the ballot for Congress? You might even win. And guess what? A lot of the candidates we talk to come awfully close or actually win when we file them. Sometimes just filing them for office produces a win. Again, in a wave election, and I think we are seeing voters wake up on their own, anything is possible. But it's impossible if you don't have a candidate at least on the ballot. So that's our strategy. Before I get into the statewide races, I do want to invite you to help us out with candidate recruitment. We can't do this work on our own. We have to hire political operatives to then go around the state and interview people, do background checks. Yes, because we want to make sure we're not backing someone with a bad record who might embarrass us and embarrass the rest of the team. We need your help. So go to the website, reformcalifornia.org, and sign up first and foremost. This keeps you tethered to our growing movement. We let you know what's going on with California state news and politics. Each week, we give you a news wrap up on Friday morning, but it also gives you the opportunity to know what we're doing in your area. Town halls, rallies, volunteer drives, candidate recruitment, and training sessions. All of that stuff happens at a local level. We want to make sure that you're hearing about it. So go on that website, reformcalifornia.org, sign up, first name, last name, email, phone, and zip code at the bottom of that website. Plus, please chip in a contribution, put fuel in our tank. We do not get any big money from big donors. We don't get any money from government. That's for damn sure. Unlike the left, which gets your taxpayer money for their politics. We've got to raise it $1 at a time from grassroots supporters like you. So if you can chip in $5, $10, $15 or more, please go onto the website right now, reformcalifornia.org, put fuel in the tank so that we can solve some of the problems that we're seeing Republicans have in the state of California. And that is a lack of candidates. So right now, let me talk about the statewide offices. And it's important to understand, what these statewide offices are, because as you're out there talking to people, you may actually find a good candidate who should run for office. So here's our news story at that website, reformcalifornia.org, reformcalifornia.org. Can Republicans win governor of California in 2026, plus 6 other statewide offices? We put this story out a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And it basically says our approach to uniting Republicans in California and independents who are common sense is to recruit a slate of candidates, 1 candidate per office, cover every office, whether it's statewide or down to school board, provide them a contract to reform California so they can all run under the same commitment, just like Newt Gingrich did in 1994, a contract with America. We're going to do a contract to reform California. It makes it simple for voters to show what we're all offering, whether you're running for lieutenant governor or secretary of state or governor or state assembly. All of us can basically say, here are the 10 things we're going to do. And it's beautiful things. It's cut the cost of living. It's fix homelessness. It's keep criminals behind bars. It's secure the border and cut the illegal immigrant health care and welfare benefits and the taxpayer-funded health handouts. So first step is give those candidates this contract. Second is unite behind 1 candidate in each race so we don't split the primary, because remember, we don't want to get shut out of the top 2. Third, run them as a slate. So instead of having each candidate fund their own campaign, try to look at ways to package candidates, have them share resources, and run as a team. That's how the Democrats do it. We ought to take a page from their successful model, but use it to take back the state. Here in the state of California, there are a number of statewide races. And these statewide positions are crucial. And yes, don't let anyone tell you we cannot win. We actually have an opportunity to win statewide in 2026. Midterm elections are all about turnout. And if Democrats don't turn out, and they might be depressed in 2026, I'm telling you, Trump is batting 1,000. This guy is getting things done. He's solving problems, and it's wildly popular what he's doing. Don't believe the lying liberal media. A lot of Americans are looking at what he's doing saying, good, good, good. But in California, if we have a good turnout with Republicans and conservative independents and conservative Democrats, and they vote for change, we could actually pick up a couple of the statewide seats if we have a candidate. So for governor, we have 2 good candidates, at least right now. Others are coming into the mix. The question is, which one should we get behind? Again, I would urge you, don't back any candidate right now, but see how the field develops. So in the race for governor, I'm not as concerned because we have Steve Hilton, Fox News commentator, and Chad Bianco, Riverside County Sheriff, running for this office. Then you got lieutenant governor. I'm talking to Gloria Romero, a former state senator. She's an education reform advocate. She went from being a Democrat state senator to a Republican because of Donald Trump. I love her. I think she'd be wonderful, but she's not committed yet. So technically, we do not have a candidate for lieutenant governor. And the lieutenant governor position's key because when the governor's out of the state, and Newsom is out of the state an awful lot on suspiciously funded junkets on vacation, and of course running for president in 2028, the lieutenant governor assumes the duties of the governor anytime he steps or she steps out of the state. We need a candidate for Secretary of State. That Secretary of State candidate is, or the Secretary of State is in charge of all of our elections. So this is a big position. This is so important. If we get a good Secretary of State, we can clean up the fraudulent ways in which elections are handled in this state. As you know, we are also doing our California voter ID initiative through Reform California. So if you're interested in that, go to the website reformcalifornia.org and sign up as a volunteer under voter ID campaign. But Secretary of State can clean up the voter rolls, make sure dead people don't get ballots. Attorney General. Yeah, Rob Bonta is the guy right now, and what a wingnut. The Attorney General can file lawsuits. He's also supposed to, or she's supposed to go after criminals. We lost our only candidate earlier this week. Michael Gates, Huntington Beach City Attorney, instead got a great job with the Trump administration, so he's no longer going to be a candidate for Attorney General. We'll be taking him off that list, unfortunately. So no candidate for Attorney General currently. State Treasurer, no candidate on our side, but the State Treasurer is in charge of money, investments, bonds. State Comptroller keeps the checkbook and audits government. We do have a good candidate there, and we've already endorsed him at Reform California. Herb Morgan, Chief Financial Officer, running. State Superintendent of Public Instruction, the guy or the gal who's in charge of schools. We don't have a candidate for that yet on our side. Insurance Commissioner. We have an insurance crisis. No candidate on the Republican side. You see the problem? Again, I think we'll fix this problem with your help. We're dedicated at Reform California to getting candidates recruited, trained, filed, and endorsed for each of these positions, one candidate per. But we're going to need your help. Now, let me motivate you by scaring the crap out of you by sharing with you who's actually running. So let's talk about the governor candidates. It's Kamala Harris. You understand that, right? She's in all the polling showing that Harris, if she ran, would be the Democrat nominee immediately. But you've got right now Tony Atkins running, Eleni Koudalakis, Tony Thurmond, Antonio Villaraigosa, Betty Yee. Those candidates, those Democrats, are running for governor right now. These other candidates are cuckoo, except for Bianco and Steve Hilton. The other candidates I don't really consider to be serious. But if Harris gets in this race, if Katie Porter, former Democrat Congresswoman, she's still a Democrat, former Congresswoman, Looney Tunes completely, Katie Porter from Orange County gets in the race, I would suspect that some of these Democrats would then move to other races because Harris would be the nominee, just hands down. She's beatable. Of all the Democrats, I think she's got the most baggage. She's inept, incompetent. She's just, again, not a joyous candidate, not a good candidate. I'd love to see us running against Harris. Don't want to see her as governor, but she, I think, would be the most beatable with her bad profile. But if Harris got in the race, if Porter got in the race, some of these other candidates would go to some of these other statewide seats. Here is the lineup for school superintendent. You've got Anthony Rendon, the former Democrat speaker, probably running. An assembly member, Al Mirasucci, is already running for school superintendent. Mia Bonta, the wife of Rob Bonta, is running. They all say considering, but no, they're running. Richard Barrera, who's a wingnut school board member in San Diego, is thinking about running. Los Angeles Community College District Trustee Nichelle Henderson. So the Democrats have a bunch of liberal extremists thinking about running for that slot. Lieutenant governor already has Stephen Bradford, a former state senator, former Stockton Mayor Michael Tubbs. All these are Democrats. current state treasurer Fiona Ma, all running. And now this guy, Josh Freeman, a lieutenant governor candidate. He's currently the governor's Newsom's chief service officer. He's from the Undercover Boss show, I guess. He did an episode of that. So he's running. He's got money. And thinks that he's going to be the undercover boss. He's going to be the moderate Democrat. I don't think there's any such thing. Rob Bonta, as Attorney General, is running for re-election for the Democrats for the Attorney General slot. And then, of course, Ricardo Lara, who knows what's going to happen with the insurance commissioner. I'm assuming that you'll have a gaggle of Democrats there. State comptroller and treasurer expect to have a lot of Democrats, again, shifting over from the governor's race when Kamala Harris comes in. And again, I do expect that she'll come in. Finally, the Secretary of State, that's the incumbent, Shirley Weber. Boy, she's in over her head, extremist, but she's running for re-election. So the Democrat field is very robust for all these slots. With the Republican field being non-existent or pretty anemic. We need to fix that. And so sitting here more than a year out of candidate filing, but candidate filing is a year and a couple days out. I'm just sounding the warning bell that we need to find candidates. Reform California is on a mission to find candidates, but this is a complicated process. So I'm doing this topic on this podcast in case you're out there wanting to run for office. And guess what? When people say, who, me? I don't have any experience to be lieutenant governor. Compared with the wingnuts that are currently there that are so-called experienced, if you're honest and have a pulse, I'll take you. So contact us. There's nothing that says that you wait for a certificate on the wall to run for a statewide office. All I need are honest people who are legally eligible to run. And we will work to train and guide and mentor and support. But if you don't want to run for office, help us find someone who will. Again, every dollar is precious in our movement, and we need your support. So go to the website, reformcalifornia.org, and chip in a contribution. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California and a California State Representative. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. But before you click away, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification button so you get updated when we post new episodes. Plus, like this video and share it with your friends so that we can help spread our message across the state. Reform California with Carl DeMaio is paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly.